What is up, you guys? You've got Laura Moore-Shay here, IFBB Bikini Pro, and today I'm gonna be running you through all my favorite stretches that help with mobility for our posing, help us get the most out of our workouts, and really make sure that our muscles are staying mobile, supple, flexible, so that we can also make the most progress in the gym as possible. So I just finished my workout a few minutes ago with my trainer, Chris Lyko. I like to do my stretches post-workout when my muscles are warm. That's always a good idea to do your stretches after your workout or after your cardio when you're warm and they're ready to move and they're gonna be a little bit more elastic and supple. So before we jump into it, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with a friend, and let's jump right into it. All right, so one thing that I will share with you guys in the description of the video are all my favorite stretches. And so the way I keep track of them, I have a little list on my phone of both lower body and upper body stretches. And I really like to do every single one of them in a day. This morning, I actually did a couple with my vacuums. So I'm gonna check those off on my list, but I have a bunch here. So I'm gonna start with just some simple stretches. You guys have probably done these before if you've ever been in high school sports or middle school or college sports or anything like that, or just PE class. So I'm gonna start with our classic butterfly stretch. And I just trained glutes, so my legs were really what got work today. And so I'm gonna spend a lot of time on these lower body stretches. In our butterfly stretch, you're just gonna put your feet together, try to keep your chest up and really just open up your legs as far as you can. If you can get your heels a little closer to your butt, awesome. You're gonna get a little bit more of a stretch in your adductors, your inner thighs. And most of these, what I recommend is just hang out in them in like 30 seconds to a minute at a time. That's really what is gonna give you the best results long-term. I think the Andrew Huberman podcast did a episode on stretching that was really helpful, and I'll try to link that video in the description too, so you guys can check that out if you really wanna dive deep. But for today, I'm just gonna show you a lot of things that are great to include into your bodybuilding, so that way you can pose and really get the best muscle gains possible. So now that I've done my butterfly stretch, I'm gonna do one that is a yoga pose, I believe, and this one's called double pigeon. So double pigeon, you're gonna stack your thighs. So if you can't get your thighs like one on top of another, if you've got a lot of space, open up your legs more so you can really stack your shins. So if you're a little less mobile, you might look like this. I'm gonna stack my legs like this. And then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna sit up tall, keep my chest up, and then I'm just gonna kind of crawl my hands forward. And this is gonna be a pretty intense stretch on your glutes, maybe in your low back. So I really feel this right now on my right glute. And I'm just gonna kind of sit here and then I'll switch sides. So now I'm gonna put opposite leg on top. Yeah. And now I'm really feeling it on the left glute. Okay, and then gently come back up. Now I'm gonna switch it out and I'm gonna do a forward fold. You can do these standing or seated. This is just our classic hamstring stretch. So kind of like, touching your toes. And I like to grab onto my feet just for a little extra leverage. Sometimes I'll do this one standing as well, but for, I guess, just laziness, I'm gonna stay here on the ground, do my stretches. Okay. And what I'm doing here is I'm just checking them off. Again, this is a little checklist in my phone. So now I'm gonna flip over and I'm gonna do another yoga pose, the upward dog stretch. So here, I'm gonna press my hips forward, lift my chest. And this is a great one for your chest, your shoulders, getting a little bit of counter stretch in your hip flexors. So here, I have a series of 3 stretches I like to do together. One is called a lizard lunge, and then I kind of deepen that stretch, and then I go into a quad stretch that comes from a yoga pose. So I'll just kind of show you guys on the side. And I'm gonna use the towel here because I'm on this hardwood floor to just kind of cushion my knees. So I'm gonna go into the lizard lunge. So here, First thing is you're gonna step your leg out in as big of a lunge as possible. And if you have the mobility, I do not, unfortunately, if you have the mobility, you can come down to your forearms. But what I'm really trying to do here is I'm really trying to drive this hip forward and really get as deep into the hip flexor here and the adductor, the inner thigh on this side as possible. And I'm just gonna kind of hang out here. And then now to deepen the stretch, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lift my back knee off the ground. And if your balance allows, you can just kind of balance on yourself. If you don't, hold on to something, hold on to a piece of gym equipment or a wall, or take your water bottle. You can use this to push down on. And what I'm trying to do here too in this stretch is I'm really trying to push this hip open and really open up my hip flexor. So actually having my water bottle here is nice because now I can actively push my hip flexor open. So I'm really focusing on the openness of my right leg right now, my right hip. You can probably see it, my leg is even shaking a little bit. So I'm getting a good stretch, really testing myself a little bit. And then now, third stretch, I'm gonna bring my knee down onto my towel. I'm gonna reach back for my foot. And again, if you're someone who's like very immobile, or you're just starting in your stretching journey, you might not be able to do this one yet. And that's okay. I believe this is called Supta Baddha Konasana in yoga. And so this one, it's great because not only are you getting your quad, so I'm getting the front of my right leg, I'm also getting the hip flexor or the psoas. And these muscles, especially when you're training legs, often they get really tight. Our hip flexors are being used anytime we're sitting. And so just think about how much time we spend sitting in modern life. Like we're at our desks, we're in cars commuting, we're on the couch. So we really kind of abuse these muscles and they can get overly tight and cause posture issues or injuries, low back pain. So I'm gonna just gently release this foot and now I'm gonna switch sides. So I'm gonna turn the other direction so you guys have a little better view of what I'm doing. So now I'm gonna go into my lizard lunge, just on the opposite leg, right here. Yeah, and if you're a bodybuilder, competitor, or just say someone active who wants to be really healthy, I cannot recommend stretching enough. I'm someone who naturally has poor posture. I had poor posture growing up, which I think is like really common when you're tall. Like I had kind of forward shoulders, I had a natural anterior pelvic tilt, and through stretching and exercising and doing my weight training, I've improved my posture a lot. And it's helped me with posing, it's helped me make better progress in the gym. So just, really, especially if you're trying to be a competitor, do everything you can to improve. Again, I'm gonna use my water bottle for just a little support. And I'm kind of trying to turn my pelvis backwards here. So here in this stretch, to get more intensity, I'm trying to actively turn my pelvis backwards, like this way. So if you think about your hip bones, I'm trying to turn my hip bones this way to deepen the stretch on that hip flexor. I drop my knee, kind of refine my stance here. And then I'm gonna reach back for my left foot and then deepen the stretch. So I am actively pushing or pulling my foot towards my body. And I'm also actively pressing my hips forward and still mentally thinking about turning my pelvis back. So think about your hip bones, turning your pelvis backwards this way, and that's gonna intensify the stretch. So if you're someone who's tight, like especially too if your hamstrings are really tight, you may not even be able to get into this position. That's okay, like just start small. You can also do this stretch as a fun variation. You can do it against a wall where the back shin is actually back against a wall. Okay, I'm gonna gently release. And then I'm gonna go straight into my regular pigeon pose. So we did double pigeon. We're gonna do the original pigeon pose. This is also a yoga pose. Great stretch for the glutes, the hip flexors. And so I'm trying to get my front shin vertical or completely horizontal. It's not gonna go all the way there, but I'm doing my best. And then I'm trying to also sit upright so that I get as much of the back leg, hip flexor or psoas as possible. So the back leg is basically straight back behind me. And then your front leg, you know, when you're really, really mobile and flexible, it would be kind of in line with my towel here. When you're less, you can kind of make it more of a knee pointed forward, but the more mobility and openness and you get in your glutes, the more you're gonna be able to angle this front shin horizontally. And then you can even, you know, you can kind of come down in it, relax, read a book, scroll Instagram. Okay, so now let's switch it out. Let's get the other side. Okay, and I'm gonna gently roll onto my hip, come out of that. The next one on my list that I'm gonna go into, because I kind of work my way through these randomly and I just check them off. You could do them in a particular order. I'm gonna go to frog pose. So this is another yoga pose. It's a love-hate relationship. It's a very intense stretch. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna start by bringing your knees out as wide as possible and then your feet wider. So you're basically gonna come towards the ground and you can use something to cushion your knees. Although I'm at a point where I don't really need that. And the smooth floor is gonna help me open up a little more. So you bring your knees out as wide as possible and then your feet just a little wider. And then same thing here, you wanna think about tilting your pelvis backwards. Okay, so I don't wanna just like come forward, put my hips on the ground. You wanna actively push your hips backwards and you're gonna find this is a really intense inner hip stretch. So just everything is really being kind of pushed to its max and you just kind of want to relax into this and hold. A lot of times when I'm in this one, I will scroll Instagram, watch a YouTube video, because I'll try to hang out in it for a little while longer. And it's intense, but it also feels really good too. So I can't recommend this one enough. So to come out of this one, bring your feet gently together, bring your knees together, and just kind of come on up. This one too, if it's really intense in your body, something that can feel nice is a little bit of counter movement, like little windshield wiper with your knees. From here, I'm gonna do my last two lower body stretches, and these are more intense. So I'm gonna do kind of just like a forward fold, or like middle split, I guess. Sometimes there is a machine here at this gym that I'll use to get a little extra. But for today, I'm just gonna use the floor. You can also use a wall too. If you have a wall available to you, you can put your feet up against a wall, which will give you a little bit of leverage and will show you how close you're actually getting to a full split. So same thing, this one, I will just kind of sit and hang out. A lot of times when I'm doing my stretches, I will put on like a little YouTube video or music or something and just kind of let myself relax and try to ease into all the stretches so I'm getting as much range of motion as possible. Okay, so we're gonna bring our legs together and come back up and do our last stretch, which is gonna be a, I guess a forward front split. So this one, it can be intimidating, but know that you don't have to like be able to do a full split to practice it. And so you can see I'm not really even that close. But again, what I like to do if I have something to hold on to, I like to come up because I can tell that the limiting factor right here, it's not my front leg hamstring, it's my back leg hip flexor that is like preventing me from getting my full split. And so once I can get my hip flexors a little more open, I think I'll be pretty close. So this one, just kind of hang out, relax, put your mind at ease, and just keep breathing. get the other side. Make sure that we're even. It is also really normal too to have a side that's a little bit just tighter or a side that's more open than the other. None of us are really symmetrical. So just, you know, pay attention to that, be aware of it. And doing these stretches and being mindful with your training, that's also how you're gonna improve imbalances, realign your body. So all of these things that you're doing, it's really an investment in yourself, your well-being, your health. Even if it's a little bit painful at the time, it's worth it. So here I'm really trying to sink into the back leg hip flexor. My hamstring has the openness. It's really my hip flexor in the back that's kind of limiting me. So I'm really focusing on that. A few more breaths here. That felt good. So now let's do a few upper body stretches that are my favorite. So I'm gonna start with a seated twist. I've got a couple more here on the ground and then we'll stand it up. So seated twist, you're gonna start with one knee pointing forward, bring your opposite foot across, and then now you're gonna take your arm and twist away. So now I'm gonna switch it. And with this one, you might feel it in a few different places. So a lot of times I feel this in the glutes, in my low back. You might feel it through your shoulders and your chest. And you can also, you know, I'm really using my arm to push, but like if you don't have the mobility, you might not even be able to get your arm here to start. That's okay. Again, progress into all these stretches. These are just really to give you some ideas and get you thinking and options to open up and just really take care of your body and have the best physique possible. Okay, so I'm gonna come on out of there. Check this one off on our list. And then let's go ahead and go into our camel pose. And then we'll do two more after that. So camel pose, this is again from yoga. You're gonna reach back for your heels and really press your hips forward, lift your chest. You can do two different positions with your neck, so you can keep your chin tucked like this, or you can do full expression where you bring your head back. If you go for the full expression, just gently tuck your chin first, and then you can come up or lower back down. From here, I am going to go into puppy pose, which is also another one of my favorite yoga poses. So for puppy pose, I'm gonna use the towel for my forehead, and we're gonna keep our hips in about a 90-degree angle, and then we're kind of gonna try to snuggle our chest to the floor. So you'll see what I mean in just a second. So I'm gonna come down right here and just hold. And then just gently bring yourself back up. So our last stretch for today is gonna be triangle pose, another yoga pose. And we're gonna add in a little optional twist. So I'm gonna put my feet on two railroad tracks, or about, you know, maybe 6 inches apart. Front foot is forward, back foot is angled, kind of at a diagonal. So now I'm gonna reach for the floor with my right hand. If you need to, bend into this front knee, but if not, keep it straight. And then extend your arm up. So from here, if you want the option, you can take your hand, reach it behind your back and into your hip pocket. And this is in yoga what they call a half bind. So here you're gonna really try to rotate your shoulder open, twisting through the upper body. And so we're getting both a lower body and an upper body stretch all at once. And if this is too much, that's okay. You can just kind of keep your hand up here. You can bend into this front knee if that's what's needed. That's okay. You can hold on to a yoga block or something. So once we're done, we're gonna bring our hand back to the floor, bend into the front knee, come up, and we're gonna get the other side. So same idea, front foot forward. Now this time I'm gonna use my left hand instead, come down to the floor, this hand up, and then if you want that optional half bind, you're gonna take your hand back behind and really try to rotate your shoulder open. So if you have a shoulder injury, you may wanna skip the half bind, but if you have healthy shoulders and this is an area of your body that's a little tight, this would actually probably be really great for you. And you can imagine with bikini posing and how much we're twisting our waist and our shoulders, this can be a really great stretch to help you open up. So now again, I'm gonna bend into my front knee, gently come up. This last stretch is the spinal twist. It's a really good one for posing, especially bikini posing. So you're gonna start by laying down on the ground here. I'm gonna bring one knee into my chest, and then I'm gonna rotate all the way over until this knee touches the floor. Now, I'm gonna take my backhand, reach it back until it touches the floor, and I'm also gonna rotate my head that direction. And you're just gonna hang out here, and the goal is to keep the knee touching and the back shoulder touching the floor as well. And then when you're done, you can bring it up, and I'm just gonna rotate to the other side just to be even. So I did this one this morning with my vacuums. So if you can't get, it's very rare that any of us can get our knee and our back shoulder all the way down. So it's okay if you can't do that. My back shoulder is not all the way down, but that's what we're aiming for here. So now you can bring it in. And if you want a little extra counter stretch, you can kind of just bring your knees into your chest, rock a little bit. It can feel nice on the low back. And then I'm gently just gonna rock myself back up. All right, you guys, those are my favorite post-workout stretches. I like to do these every single day after my workout. They really help with posing. They're gonna help keep your muscles supple, elastic, ready to grow. A tight muscle, a muscle that cannot contract and relax fully, cannot grow optimally. So I hope this was helpful. Any questions, go ahead, drop them in the comments. If you wanna book a posing or mobility session with me, you can come see me in person in Southern California or worldwide via Zoom. The link is all in the description below. Thank you guys again for watching. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and don't forget to share with a friend.